All right, welcome to the weekend update or the investor update here. What I want to talk about in this video, in this presentation, is biotech. I want to go a little bit dive deeper onto the biotech development this year. But before we get into biotech, let's kind of check out several tickers and just to see how things are doing here. I'm not gonna go through every single one of them. We'll do that some other time. But of course, my three biggest holdings, my entire portfolio, is VOQQQSMH. And what else can we ask from this market? Nothing else. This is as good as it's gonna get. We haven't seen a quote-unquote proper pullback for 7 straight months now. This is the making of the Starry Night. This is gonna be another masterpiece. Market is doing something it hasn't done in a very, very long time. 20% V-shapes, and we haven't even seen a 5% pullback in the last 7 straight months. This did not happen even during 2020 COVID reversal here. And I think as far as I can go, last time we've seen anything like this is, I believe, 1995. And this is something that we thought that we may see, right? We thought that we may see something of 1995. We've been, as you guys remember, what have we been talking about? Where's my, right here, right? So you can see this isn't something new. We've sort of thought that where we're at today, right, in 2025 here, is somewhere 1995, right? So it's not a coincidence or mistake or random occurrence that we are seeing a move after that COVID or tariff decline, and seeing that a move that is so ferocious that we haven't seen a 5% pullback for the last 7 months. And I believe the only time we've seen anything like that was during 1994, 1995. Isn't that crazy to think? Almost every single one of our secular macro projections been correct ever since I came to a conclusion that when the secular bull market first started in 2015 and 2016, ever since then it has been on point. As you can see, look at these declines, man. Still not 5%. And what I want to achieve in this quick exercise here is, when do we see anything? There you go. It's starting to become a little bit more volatile here. But we have to understand, though. Let me see. Here, let me go. Okay, 6%. That's a proper pullback. That's gonna be, we're gonna consider that as a proper pullback. 10%, yes, we're gonna now look at that as a small size correction. Around 12% will be like, the entry size of correction. I mean, I like to call correction more like 15 to 25 will be a correction. So this will be a deep pullback. Anywhere 6 from to 12 will be a deep pullback. And you may think, And this is what I want you to really think. What I want you to see is you think after market has gone up vertically, right? That's it. Market is going to crash now. So it started. So let's kind of look at this here. Boom. We didn't see 6%. You know what? Let's go to 11%, because even 6%, that's really nothing for us. Let's go. We started seeing the 11%. So if we look at the numbers here, late 1994, like mid 1996. So let's just look at that. Okay, so then what is that? How long? That's like 1 year and a half. Can you imagine? That's like 20 months. That's almost 20 months. This market going vertically without a proper pullback. And you think there's no way after 20 months for 1 year and a half, this market going vertical, and we're not going to see like a crash? We're just going to be like a 30%, 25% crash. There's no way that this market is sustainable. Well, in a normal sense, yes, but in a bubble market, you can see what this market has done. I mean, it started becoming like a frenzy now, where market would go like vertically and then you get a big dips. And this isn't new, guys. How many times I've analyzed this for you guys, that something like this is going to happen? We're just now being in it. We've already anticipated this was going to happen. This is not the first time that we analyzed 1995 to 2000. You've seen this. Me analyzing this so many times. It's just now it's reality. Your dream coming true. Look at those numbers. Look at those numbers. The true correction was not until like late 1998. When it all started in 1995. Yeah, 1995. 3 years and some change. You didn't see a real correction for 3 years. Can you imagine what you can accomplish during this time right here? All right. So 1995, I mean, every single one of our long-term analysis, they all point to 1995, right? Um, 1995. This was funny. Wasn't this funny, guys? Okay. In 1994, 1995, we didn't see like a 20%, but we saw 10% first, and the market kind of got up a little bit, and then we did 8%. So if we add those two, that's 20%. But again, in modern day, 1995 here in 2025, we saw that tariff abrupt 20%, but that's here. I remember this chart when we are looking at it, when this thing actually hit it. In the real time, we hit it. Remember the chart that I've seen you guys? Because this is being monthly and being a line chart. If I go to candle, you see it. Boom. Look at that. Look at that wick. Perfect, right? Everything sort of pointed to us that 1995. Oh, look at this. How amazing is this analysis? How amazing was this analysis? You guys remember this analysis? From 1975 low to 1994 low, 1994, 1995 low. it took 15 years. Right? SPX, S&P 500, gaining what? 360% from the 1975 low to 1994, 1995 low. 1994, 1995 low. 15 years. And I just went and did the same thing. I just did it. 2009 low to 2025 low. Again, if you go to candles, you will see it hit the line. Took 13 years, not 15. And so it got faster. So 2 years faster. But look at the gain, guys. 369, 370% versus 360. That's pretty much on point. 360%. I mean, that's almost identical. That's pretty much identical in this compounding world. Because that's compounded number. It's just that we got there 2 years quicker. So then, could we just sort of project and be like, okay, well then what happened from 1994 low to 2000 top? Why did I put 10 years here? That's not 10 years. What? Oh, my bad, guys. This number is measuring to 1990 low and 2022 low. So this number is measuring the 1990 low. This low right here. That's where the reason why I put that here is so you can see it. It's actually to here. Okay, so it's hard to see, so I put it there. Here, let me put a line there. Okay. There. See? And then, you know what? So that we won't be confused next time. What we will do we don't need price here. We'll say 2020 low. Center. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. 2020 low. Right? And now there's going to be 1990. 1990. Okay. So yes. So from 1990 low. So this analysis, of course, was done in 2022 or so, 2023. 1990 to 2000, 10 years. 10 years. So it took 15 years to get here from the secular bear low, right? And then from here to here, 10 years, 432% gain on SPX. A lot more, a lot higher, crazy numbers on the NASDAQ and semis. But on S&P, that's still a great number right here. 10 years, from 1990 to 2000. So then we're just going to do the same thing, where from 2022 low, measuring from 2022 to potentially 8 to 10 years, because things are moving a little bit faster. We saw that right here. It took 13 years here to 2022 from 2009 low, but here in 1975 low to 1990 low, it took 15 years. So we're going to keep that in mind. It could be faster, more, longer. That's the thing. That's going to be the problem we're going to have to solve when we get there. Is it going to get there early before the secular bear? Or are we going to see the biggest bull market ever? It's going to go. You know what the market is going to do? Market is going to do is we're going to have to prepare for something. You know, sometimes I say market bounces early or late. Well, in a bear market top, market is going to start the bear market early or late. It's never going to be the ideal level. It's going to be early before anybody expects it, so that market can get everybody to be, you know what I'm saying, like caught off guard. It's going to be late, so then it's going to impute complacency. Like, this is a whole new different financial era, new prosperity era, like all that bullshit is going to happen, and everybody's just going to be like, yeah, everybody's making money. Everybody's, you know, so it's going to take like years and years and years, and then it's going to bring everybody in, and then before just completely crashing them down. I got to prepare for both. I got to prepare for potentially this and that. You understand? And we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. But we're talking about 20 grand on SPX. That's a minimum. That's a minimum. 20 grand, right? 20 grand. But 2025, 2025, 2025, 2025, 2025 is the 2025 is the right there. 2025 is the boom, boom. 2025 is the new 1995. And this isn't new. This is exactly what I've been forecasting for almost a decade now. Look at that. Look at that crazy number. My gosh. On the NASDAQ. We're talking on NDX, we're talking 250K to 350K. We're at 25K. You guys remember this chart right here? You guys remember this chart? This NDX, if you were to buy 1987, if you were to buy if you're to buy 1987 Black Monday low, somewhere anywhere here, and if you held it 12 some years, that is your gain. We're not talking about like Apple or Google or any of these tech stocks, but we're talking like the complete index here of 100 stocks put together. We're talking 3,600% gain. I mean, that's my motivation on my NASDAQ here, or Qs, that NDX 100 ETF here, because if 1987 Black Monday, which I've been calling it as modern day COVID, so if modern day COVID or modern day 1987 Black Monday is COVID, right? Which turned out to be, it was, then would I be able to reciprocate what the earnings could have been during if you'd have bought the 1987 lows, I was 7 years old. There's no way I was going to buy 1987 lows. But now I could, right? I did. And I am holding everything, as you guys know here. Would I able to achieve this number? At least on this guy. I mean, it's almost insane to think that that's a possibility, right? How the hell can you make 3,600% gain on an index? It's unreal. It's impossible. You never heard anything like this because nobody's done it. I'm sure somebody has done it, but he ain't gonna be on he's living his life very, very quietly somewhere. If somebody's done that, somebody bought the 1987 lot, and then he held. This person, this entity held. Maybe maybe he didn't perfectly get out right here, but maybe bought it somewhere here, or I get it more here, and then maybe got out somewhere here. Maybe somewhere here. Maybe it wasn't 3,000%, but maybe it was 2,000%. 2,000% is outrageously good. It's an absurd number. Well, I am going after that with my NASDAQ shares, along with my semiconductor shares. I reckon semiconductor might even do more crazy. Semiconductor is already crazy. If I measure my 2020 low entry to today, I'm already seeing something crazy, and I'm holding full. Like some of these 2022 low, they're still good. You can see some of these numbers. And that's going to be my motivation. And of course, okay, what if you're wrong? That's the wrong question. That's the wrong question, my friend. And if you want to ask a question like that, you already lost. And that's the reason why the great athletes, great success was achieved. That because they've done something that it was almost impossible for most. That's why Warren Buffett is where he's at. That's why Charlie Munger is where he's at. That's why Michael Jordan is where he's at. That's why Roger Federer is where he's at. They never asked that question. But just like any human beings, like King David, how did he become King David? He defeated his Goliath, 10-foot monster soldier when he was a shepherd boy. Was there any kind of a hint of what if I lose? I could die? Of course, he's a human being. He could die, but he defeated the Goliath. He became the king of Israel, and then he lived as a king, successful man throughout his life. And any great figures in history, of course, they would look to do something that most people will not do, and no one knows, of course, because there's no such thing as guaranteed in the market in life. Only way find out is to go for it, and the majority will fail. And a lot of times, especially in the market, these big declines will test your mettle. Me, of course, I held through all of these big declines. That's why I'm sitting in the shade today, because someone planted a tree long time ago. And so someone is sitting in the shade today. But my motivation is, can I achieve something like this? Can I go for it? When you have analysis that has been on point for so long, I gotta go for it. I'd rather go for it and fail than be a coward and bail out early, and I happen to be right, that right there will haunt you for the rest of your life. The pain of regret is temporary, right? The pain of regret, because you went for it, you failed. Yes, that's painful, but it's not something that you go. I don't think you go through for the rest of your life. It is the pain that's gonna haunt you for the rest of your life. Is that when you got scared and you prematurely quit something that you might have, you know what I'm saying, you didn't go for it. Like that was sort of my mindset during 2020. I saw 2020 COVID lows as 1987 Black Monday lows, and I went for it. I knew if I was wrong, I was going to lose everything. Seriously. Like let's say 2020, because think about one of the stuff that I was, look at what I was accumulating. And so if I was wrong, and if we actually got into the Great Depression, yeah, I was going to lose everything. But if we actually got into the Great Depression, like everybody thought that we were, I sort of felt like, you know what, then I think everybody's going to, the entire world is going to go through the depression, and all your assets going to be frozen anyway. And so I thought the risk reward, and also I thought to myself, yes, of course, nothing is, I could be completely wrong. We could get into the Great Depression. But the upside was so great. If I was right, which I deemed in my analysis had a high probability, you know, upwards of 70%, I believe at the time. Of course, it was scary, and I deemed that if I was right, it was going to change my life forever. Financially and in my career. And that was the motivation there. And after you seeing some of my analysis that I've done, now we can all see that how it's been, this blueprint, this treasure map has been on point since the day one that I came to a conclusion during 2015 and 16, that secular bull phase one was started. And ever since then, that's how I was able to become successful in my career so far, of course. But that's the motivation there. And so that I'm going to try to see if I can get something of that on some of these index funds. As you guys know, I got out of my double shares of USD, though USD is just went vertical. You know me. When things go vertical, yeah. So you can see, look at these vertical moves. There's always a down arrow you're gonna see with the green color. And this one I held. I mean, yeah, you could say, yeah, you did. I did close quite a bit there, but you know, because you can see, I still had some left from these. So I only closed half from there. These two, I only closed 1/3. So I had left from here, some from here, and all of it from here. So, and then whatever the remaining, I really wrote it all the way. Again, I'm of course, I was preparing for all sort of situations, right? That's what we're going to have to do, even in the secular bear. And with my index funds is pretty much, I'm going to have to prepare for all possibilities. Market crashing early or late. Interesting though, I'm holding half of my SOXL versus, so but you can see, yeah, it didn't, I mean, that was pretty much, yeah, that was near the peak there, just give or take a couple days. Tina is up today. The only thing, as far as like holding full and triple shares, is Tina and the UWM. Everything else I've been trying to trim. Though I'm holding TQQQ. Oh, I did close 1/3. Okay. But I'm holding things a lot longer than usual because I've anticipated that you know, we're going to see something of 1995, 1996 type of move. And we might, this pressure might continue. If this thing is going to play out like if this thing is going to play out like 1995, like here, which it already looks like it is this could continue for the entire year, even next year. Because remember, it was 20 months. So it could be entire next year too, because this move started in April. If it's gonna play out like 1994, but things move much faster. So maybe it's not gonna be 20 months. Maybe it's gonna be 15 months. Maybe it's gonna be 1 year. Maybe, you know, right? So then maybe it will be middle of next month, before the summer, next year. I mean, before the summer, that we're gonna start seeing bigger corrections, such as 10% or 15%. I'll look at Google here. Google's going vertical, and this is where you're gonna make this. I want you to look at this chart very carefully. This is where you make all your money. You've been faithful, accumulating the lows, going through some big, huge declines, right? How are you going to feel throughout this 2020 to 2023? It's painful because you've been holding this for like 4 or 5 years and you had a nice gain through this move. But when you went through 2020 to 2023 decline, what you're going to see is all these guys, all the gains evaporated. That's what it's going to feel like. And then you buy some more, and then you go through this, and then you go through that, and you buy some more, and you see when this thing goes vertical like that. What happens is all your years of hard work is now getting paid. So the compounding is really going to start to kick in. So this guy, 2019, look at this. So now Google is starting to look more and more like NVIDIA. I'm holding full of my Google shares. And this is my long-term holding, so I'll probably hold through next couple more, 2-3 more years. But of course, I did have GIL, which is double shares. This is discussed and executed in the weekend update, the weekend list for VIP and premium members. So if you're an investor member, you don't get the options and other these special type of trades, but just for the discussion's sake here. So though I didn't close my Google shares, I did close half of my GIL shares with 210% gain, which was, what happened? Too large. Okay, which is really good gains there, but here, thankfully, fortunately, market wanted to bless me even more, so we get another dip. Because if market would have done that, well, I would have been happy, but I would have only had these guys. But because the market came down, I even had a way more. So I ended up making way more money because of this downturn. And that's the difference with the professional traders versus amateur. All right, so we'll go to biotech. I didn't mean to. I spent a lot of time on the secular trend analysis, but we'll end the video with the biotech here because biotech's been making a move. As you guys know, I'm on biotech, right? There's no way I'm going to be buying. Look at last last couple of years, right? There's no way I'm going to be buying. You can see it. I'm not buying any of the index funds on these large indexes, right? Not on the NASDAQ, not on the SPX, not on the semis. And that just because I'm just now writing it, right? I'm just now writing it. I mean, I could have here, but again, I was focusing more on the options, call options here, and triple shares and double shares and special ETFs. But I wasn't going to buy any of these index funds, but I was accumulating biotech. You can see here. Boom. I thought we were going to see a breakout. That looked like we are going to see a breakout. But market fooled me. Didn't see a breakout. We pulled back. But you know me, I'm not going to be panicking or anything like that. That's a fortunate because, well, I was able to buy even more. So it was fortunate that this happened. And I think that's the difference. I'm learning more and more, and I'm getting really good at this now in my life, where every time when there's what you label as unfortunate, what you label as negative, I now look at it as a blessing. And I'm really, really good at that now. So my entire body is like going through it, right? Going through difficulties, challenges, you know, what you deem as a negative situation or suffering. I'm really good at thanking God for it, because I know that when something, what I deem as negative happens, it is only happening because God wants to promote me to the next level. It's kind of like a test. It kind of like God is allowing this to happen to see, are you ready for what I have in store for you? The reason is, if God starts promoting you and giving you things that you do not deserve, you'll kill yourself. You'll crush yourself. You see it all the time, celebrities, influencers, and all these motherfuckers that they get lucky or something, or they got all kinds of powers, and then they start abusing it, right? They don't truly enjoy it either. They get depressed. They have everything. You would think you're handsome, you're beautiful, you're rich, you're young, you got everything, but you want to kill yourself? But you're depressed as fuck? You're suicidal? Why? Right? You ever ask yourself that? Because they weren't ready for it, to receive it. So there's like a matrix glitch happens or something like that. So these guys start getting things that they don't deserve. And matrix crashes them down. And their life is ruined. Even though they seemed as though they got everything. When the life gives you difficulties, affliction, resistance, and you're gonna quickly label it as you're going through a suffering, well, it's a mental construct. It's a mental construct that you are forming it as a suffering. As soon as that switch, there's a switch that occurs in your mentally, you're no longer looking at it as suffering, and your body is not gonna chemically recognize it as a suffering, but it's gonna like leap with joy, and then something changes in your reality. Do you understand how to beat the matrix? So whenever difficult thing happens, I'm really good now. Really good at like, oh my gosh, there's something good is about to happen. I'm so excited what God is gonna, you know what I'm saying, promote me to. So now I just gotta go. You gotta go through it. The more you resist, more you fight, more you complain, you lose. And God is not going to complain you. And you could be in that state for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. If you resist, complain, fight it, or trying to avoid it or escape from it, what you need to do is you got to marinate it. And you used to be surprised, the pain will be gone. Anyway, maybe I'll talk more about that in the master class or something. I don't want this video to be too long. But look at this pivot right here. Little retest being going vertical. I also have a Labu on this on SMT add-on. Oh, there you go. So I got Labu on SMT. I actually been losing money on SMT or the Labu when I was trying to go long here. So I actually, Labu is probably going to be like my kryptonite. I think Labu is like the only leverage 3x shares, leverage ETF that I haven't able to make money. But I don't quit. I don't quit. So now I'm up. See if I can really make that work though. This is for SMT guys for the add-on. But we got some other ones here. You can see I also have, I also got IBB as well on the SMT. So you can see that IBB making pretty good. You can see that, IBB plus the XBI, and I also have BIB, which is double shares of a biotech, including Labu, and going back to investor list here with XBI. So you can see I've been faithfully accumulating biotech while I was lagging. And and we're seeing that move here. But here, I want to show you this quarterly here. So if you observe this quarterly, you see that secular moving average. I thought maybe this was gonna be boom, 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 boom. That's why I bought it right here, remember? But we pulled back. And in market once again, why? Why does it have to happen like that? Because market wants to bless me more. Market wanted me to buy more, which I did because of this. So I got thankful to the market gods for this pullback. But anyway, we got up here. Look at these. Look at the candles here. We got a perfect quarterly hammer. The follow throughs though, those are shaved tops. I mean, it looks a lot like maybe this. It looks pretty bullish here, guys. And not to mention, this thing hasn't gone anywhere really for a decade or so. So, I mean, I'll be happy to ride that on biotech. But look at the monthly. Look at that bullish divergence. First of all, let's look at the price action here. Look at the moving averages. This is monthly. This is a primary term moving averages. You see how this thing never gets broken here for like a decade or more. And then it finally breaks. And then biotech gets into a bear market where it goes nowhere for 5 years. And then what happened? What happened was, look at the moving averages here. The moving averages acting as resistance and support. There's a secondary low. You see that moving average right there? Because there are two moving averages going. Boom, boom. That's what I thought. I thought, okay, it's going to go boom, 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 boom. I really thought that was going to happen. Plus the water, it was a really good setup, guys. So you see that water. That was great setup, like boom, 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 boom. That was the setup, but the market needed just one more test. Market is like, is K really ready? We gotta put him to the test. Is he gonna bail on biotech after failed move right here, breaks below both of those moving averages and breaks and gets submerged below the water? It's actually rare. Usually when the water gets reclaimed, you see that right here. I'll show you this. Look at this water. When the water, when it holds above the water, it's rare that it's going to go fully plunge back into the water. Usually it finds the support, and you can see some of these long-term moving averages here. They're acting as support along with the water, and then it surfs back up. It's rare that you're going to see this thing just fully submerged back below the water and back below those moving averages. Definitely, majority of people, they're going to be like, yeah, no, I'm done. Yeah, it's out. Yeah, that's it. I think, yeah, biotech is going to crash down or whatever. And what would happen to me would have been then I'd be like, especially in my Labu, since I've never turned profit in Labu, just mind you, I lost money on trading Labu. I was trading Labu on an SMT add-on here, like I think here and here, just to, you know what I mean? Then I would have been like, oh my gosh. I think, yeah. So I think, you see I was buying Labu here, and then that plunge right here. I'd be like, oh my. I just can't win with Labu. I just can't win. It's my kryptonite. But I don't give up. I couldn't at the time when this was happening, I wasn't able to like rationalize it. But technically speaking, yes, the setup is broken, technically speaking, because this was a setup. We finally got above the water. This was a setup. We just need to reclaim the moving average and should have done that. So then, technically speaking, this would have been maybe a signal to get out. But remember, there's also, you can't just have a technical. To be successful in the market, you can't just have a technical skills. There has to be a psychological effect. The skills that you need. Because there's going to be moments like this where market is going to do something to get you out. And that will be the final low. And it's not explainable fundamentally or technically. Fundamentally, it's not going to be explainable. Technically, it's not going to be explainable. It's a psychological. So for me, understanding the overall bull market structure and understanding, I think, the quarterly aspect of it, because you can see, though we saw this pullback during that time, what did that oscillator's been doing? That oscillator was faithful. That oscillator never crossed down. And especially understanding the quarterly oscillator, because quarterly oscillator rarely, especially this thing doing a full reset. This is the first time. It's pretty rare that this thing coming down to oversold and it crosses up and then this thing just doing, of course, anything is possible, of course. And I'm going with the probability here. It's pretty rare it's going to whipsaw. Like quarterly, monthly oscillator, it's rare. So that's why you have to understand the overall probability, overall market structure, and the secular trend of things, and the psychology of this market shenanigans and bullies that it does. And so I decided I wasn't going to sell. And then I added more. Hallelujah, right? And then market finally breaks out. And what we want to see now is, you see this yellow right here? This is where it needs to hold. If he pulls back, we want to hold somewhere here. Maybe do you see the long-term moving averages? The worst case scenario, it might come back. Let's say worst case scenario, it comes back down. Let's say it goes boom, boom, boom. What I will do is, let's say I put a fib here to here. It will come somewhere here, 50% or so. Long-term moving averages, boom, boom, with a 160. And what we could potentially see is, because now there were a 1995 scenario, that. So, though S&P, NASDAQ, semis, a lot of these indices, they were ripping. They were just making new all-time highs every single day. You can always find setups somewhere else. And the games that the market is going to play is, it's just bar none, because the market is older than all of you, and it just knows how to fake people out. It's interesting how that is. Why wouldn't market just be generous and just let everybody? Why wouldn't I'm gonna end the video with this. Why wouldn't market just let things easy and make everybody just happy? And as I talked about in the poker analogy, when you're on a poker table, right? You want everybody else to fold every time, and there's always gonna be, if you play poker. Let's say you play 6, 7, 8 people, right? Usually it's going to be top 1 to 2 people that makes all the money. Everybody else loses money or slightly break even or something like that. That always happens. Everybody starts same net worth. At the end of the night, what's going to happen is only 2 people, 1 or 2 people want to make the most money. Everybody else loses. And that's how the finance work. The majority always going to lose. It again is not that because I'm such a genius that like I saw this coming. No, it's just because that I'm just disciplined enough to know that I wasn't going to let this do panic sell, and have enough patience to wait it out.